We're sitting in our brand new radio studio, and we are very quickly approaching the day that we're going to launch this not only as a radio program, America Three Futures. We're sitting in our brand new radio studio, and we are very quickly approaching the day that we're going to launch this not only as a radio program, but we're going to televise the radio program via Christian television network globally around the world on multiple continents. So we'll have a television show of the radio show globally, worldwide on television. In addition, we're going to broadcast this program across the world via radio. We'll have it on our website. We'll be broadcasting the radio and the television program across the world. We have the technology. We're hooked up via satellite. We're hooked up to be able to broadcast live on the website, paulmcguire.org and paulmcguire.com. We'll be able to take in live phone calls, and most important, we will be able to participate in an education warfare, because that's a spiritual warfare. When people are being programmed or brainwashed, and I believe most people in America and most of the nations around the world today are being brainwashed, they're being brainwashed by a globalistic elite whose goal is a one-world socialist or communist government. I was reading the documentation, the actual papers published by the United Nations very recently in a report where they said their goal, this is their writing, their documentation, you can read about it in my book, Are You Ready for the Microchip, or The Day the Dollar Died. Their goal, according to their own language, is under the guise of environmentalism, they're going to transfer trillions of dollars of wealth from the American middle class and middle class of other nations around the world and transfer it into third world nations. I don't believe these third world nations will actually prosper. I think that the money will be siphoned off into corrupt dictatorships. But it will destroy the American middle class, and it will destroy the middle class in other nations around the world. Now, why would you say, would anybody want to destroy the American middle class? Well, you flip the back of your dollar bill over, and I talk about this in detail in my book, The Day the Dollar Died, and you see the famous pyramid on the back of the US dollar, Federal Reserve note. And that pyramid is a widely accepted occult symbol, and you see the base of the pyramid, which represents you and I, the workers, the serfs, the slaves of this New World Order. And you say, well, why would you use the word New World Order? Because in Latin, there are big letters underneath the pyramid that says Novus Order Seclorum, or New Order of the Ages, or New World Order. That's what they tell you the purpose of the pyramid is. So it would be a mild form of insanity to make the pyramid other than it really is. Now, the workers, which would be you and I, the masses, they destroy the middle class. Why do they destroy the middle class? Because you can't have a world communist state with a prosperous middle class. You have to redistribute the wealth through force if necessary. And then towards the top of the pyramid, you have the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, and then the illumined ones, illuminated. The eyes of Lucifer illuminate, the Illuminati, represent the very top tiny piece of the pyramid, which symbolizes the scientific elite, or the invisible government, or the elite that are really controlling this world. A little tiptoe into what we're talking about would be the Federal Reserve System, where in 1914 a group of international bankers illegally seized the monetary supply of the United States of America, took control of our money, and we know he who controls the money controls the government, controls the media, and they print money from nothing, loan it to our government, you pay for it by interest, and they rule our country, and they have nothing to do with America. So America is not this democratic republican that the illusion says that it is. Essentially, there's no difference between the Republican and Democratic Party, although I think every one of us should vote because there are minimal but significant differences between the parties, so you should vote. But they have a plan for the world, which is a world communist state ruled by occult power. Now, all of this lines up with Bible prophecy, the false prophet, the coming one world religion, the one world economic system. And here's the deal. We are moving towards what we would call a one world economic system, a cashless society. But you see, the goal here is because the plan is dictatorship, global dictatorship, where you lose all your rights, is to have a spiritual great awakening, much like the one America had with its first great awakening with Jonathan Edwards and George Whitefield. And the revival fires of the first Great Awakening rocked the 13 American colonies, and the power of that spiritual revival affected the establishment of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, which, by the way, is all built on the reality of God's existence versus a humanistic manifesto or a communist manifesto or a one-world government, which is all predicated that man is God. So we have two competing worldviews. There is a creator and there's a false God, which is the God of humanism, where man is God. Now, I'm on a race against time, and I need your help. Millions of people are asleep. The key is to wake them up out of their slumber. And the most effective way we can do this, in addition to our church meetings and our prophecy conferences and our prophecy studies, is through utilization of the media. So we have e-blasts, we have blog sites, now we're broadcasting radio and a television show on satellite. You'll pick it up on your cable networks. In addition, you'll see it live on the paulmcguire.org, paulmcguire.com website. And together, if we can light the fires of this revival before the return of Jesus Christ, we can fulfill Christ's words. He didn't say sleep until I come. He said occupy until I come. And together we can do that. Because with God, all things are possible. I'm Paul McGuire.